Are you guys tired of seeing my DIY shop vac dust collection system yet? Hopefully not, because I have part 3 of Frankenstein's monster, and yeah, it's got some problems. We got to address those. Hey everybody, my name is Sam and welcome back to Samcraft. In today's video, I am, yet again, fighting with my Frankenstein creation of a dust collection system in my workshop. If you have not seen the previous videos, there are 2 others and they're linked down below. The first one covers the whole initial build and creation of the monster. The second one covers a little bit of optimization and fixes. And now today's third one will cover what I'm going to consider to be the last time I try and fix this thing. It's either going to work or it's not. I want to lay out what the problems are that I'm going to address with this thing today. First and foremost is this thing is not efficient. I have air leaks in the system and that is causing it to not work properly. The Cyclone is unable to keep up and it's letting the dust pass on beyond, go into my shop vac, and then clog my filter. I have this thing hooked up to my CNC most of the time, and it does well to survive 3 cut jobs before that filter is clogged. I have to take it out, move it outside, clean the filter out, and just have a horrible amount of time cleaning it out so it can do its job again. So air leaks, number 1 fix I need to do. My second issue revolves around something that a handful of you guys questioned me on, and are going to be glad to hear, well, that you were right. This shop vac builds up heat. It is enclosed in a box. It is not getting enough airflow as it's designed to be, out in the open. So as such, it's getting too hot for my comfort. In fact, I put a temperature probe on top of the handle, ran it for an hour-long CNC job, and it got to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. That's really, really hot for that plastic. So, being that I don't want to burn my shop down, I want to address the heat issues by adding a vent to this enclosure, but I don't want it just to be wide open to let the noise spill back out of the enclosure, because at that point, well, what was the point? Well, those are my 2 issues, guys. Let's go ahead and jump into this thing. Let's see if we can scratch our noggins. Well, I'll scratch mine, and you can scratch yours too, and figure out solutions and see if I can save Frankenstein for the 3rd time. To pin down the air leaks, I know my issue lies in how that blue bucket seals with the plywood lid inside the enclosure. The idea of keeping it all in one box and unit for space-saving designs is great and all, but that plywood doesn't seal. Even with the addition of the rubber gaskets, it still leaks enough air to just ruin everything downstream. First thing I did was actually pick up a lid to a trash can that my wife uses in her soap making studio. This is pretty heavy duty and I figured why not. I'd spend $6 on a lid and see if it works. So after getting the Cyclone mounted to the lid and everything, I fired up the dust collection system and collapsed that trash can really quickly. With the trash can idea thrown out the window, I then found myself looking around my workshop again to get some ideas. I saw that blue bucket sitting there and I thought, if only I could use that somehow because it's a rigid plastic and it doesn't collapse. And then I had an idea. A light bulb went off per se. I wonder if that lid would fit on top of... Oh my goodness, it fits! I can't believe it. Who in the world figured this one out? I mean, I guess I did. I can't believe it. That trash can lid, which is made for something that's not this at all, fits and seems to seal pretty well. Thankfully, a little test showed that this seems kind of promising, so I continued to go down this rabbit hole of, okay, this works. Let's make a prettier mount for it and close up the gaps so that the shop vac is quieter inside its own little box of shame. Scrounging around my workshop again, I found some poplar wood that had been glued up for some project, who knows how long ago, and was never used. So I threw the bucket on top, traced my circle, and cut it out with a jigsaw. That wasn't good enough, so I did it all over again and cut another circle out with a jigsaw. Once that was in place, I just tacked it down with some screws because, again, I wasn't sure if this was going to work or not, and, you know, let's not spin our wheels. Wow, it's looking better. This is actually looking like this is going to work, guys. I can't believe it. I mean, we're not out of the woods yet, so it could go wrong at any second, but it's looking kind of promising. I hooked it up to the CNC, turned it on, and checked for air leaks, and where the Cyclone meets the lid, there was some music going on. That means this thing is leaky. Scrounging around my workshop yet again, I found a tube of silicone and I decided to very happily and liberally coat the perimeter of the Cyclone as well as all the bolt holes, washers, and everything else I could find. I should have let it sit overnight and cure and set up, but I was impatient and I was curious if it was going to work or not, so I fired it up right after applying the silicone. Thankfully, it didn't suck the silicone into the system and it looks like my air leaks are fixed. With the air leaks appearing to be fixed, we can now move on to addressing the heat buildup inside the enclosure. My thought process is to build a baffle of sorts to minimize noise and break up those sound waves, yet have a vent towards the top of the container so the heat rising can get out. I drilled some holes into the side of the container and put a cover over it that would direct any of the noise down. I glued and tacked it to the box with my brad nailer and called it good enough. I also put this cover at a height where it would nest underneath the edge of my CNC table, since that's where this thing lives most of the time. Everything looked promising, so I came back the next day, hooked it up to the CNC, and ran a job to see how well it performed and if I was clogging my filter at the same, and just spent all that time for no good reason. After that half-hour-long CNC job, the temperature of the shop vac did not get above 90 degrees. That's acceptable to me. It's still in a box, but it does show that that vent is doing its job. I am very, very pleased with the ability of me to fix Frankenstein and get a little more mileage out of it. It's still not perfect. That lid is very flexible and it kind of, squishes and collapses on itself. But I truly think that that is going to be the extent of my tinkering with this system. My workshop is getting set up as a production scale shop better and better each day. And what that means is I'm reaching the point where this CNC is going to be running on its own for a very long time. And it needs its own dust collection system like it has here. The problem I'm running into is I'm also going to be using benchtop sanders, other tools, table saw, and things that need their dust collection as well. So it leaves me with a choice to make. Do I build another one of these? Do another shop vac? Or do I just invest in the piping to finally pipe in my dust collector, which I've actually had for several years, albeit underneath my floor and not a complete unit. The biggest thing that gives me pause on doing the big dust collection setup is the fact that I'm not going to be able to use the Dust Deputy Cyclone for a system that large. I could very well just leave the CNC on this one. They're happy together. They get along pretty nice so far. But I want a Cyclone for my larger dust collection system, and Cyclones in that range are expensive. Now let me clarify, when I say Cyclones, I mean the plastic ones you buy and then finish everything else yourself. I'm not talking about a ship it, drop it off, you're done Cyclone dust collection system. In my book, a couple of $100 is money worth taking pause over and thinking to make sure that yes, that is a good allocation of my funds. My business is still small and I'm building it from the ground up without any debt. I'm not taking out any business loans. I'm not using credit cards. I'm not using anything of the sort. I'm building this business with the mindset of if it fails at any point, it's okay. I don't have myself indebted to loans, banks, or credit cards. I own everything that's here, and at that point, fine. It didn't work out. We can do something else. We're not strapped and burdened and really freaking out because we have debt we can't pay off. I could very easily replicate this shop vac container that I've come up with and just do another one more centrally located in my shop. And I could probably do it for about the same price as the Cyclone itself, just for the dust collection system. If I squirrel off just a little bit further, I wonder if I could sell that dust collector and pay for the materials to build my own shop vac Cyclone part 2. Well, it would be the second one I built, but I mean, it'd be like part 4 at that point. That's a thought. Let me know your thoughts down below. What would you guys do? Given the mindset of production workshop, this machine's going to be pumping out sawdust. It's got to have its own collection. At the same time, I need collection for table saw, bandsaw, sanders, and everything else of the sort. What would you do? Would you just say, you know what, dust collector is the most powerful thing. It's going to be the best in the long run. Do that. Or would you say, that shop vac system's pretty cool. Just build you another one and keep it more simple. Either way, I'd love to hear what you guys think. You leave your comments, suggestions, and ideas down below. I appreciate them a lot, and I love to read every single one. I try to reply to as many as I can, but sometimes you guys keep me hopping. All the same, I appreciate you watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys next time in the workshop.